What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the CU04 YouTube channel. You do join me for the Tom Piatak interview here on the channel. Now, just a couple of things before we get into the video, and if you want to skip this, of course, see the timestamps. But I just wanted to say a massive thanks to Tom for taking some time out of his day to come and talk to me. A massive thanks to Amy and the media team at Carlisle United for allowing this to happen. And a massive thanks to everyone who got involved, whether that was Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Anyone who asked a question, thank you for getting involved, and I hope that I managed to get through everyone's questions. I did try and get everyone's question in, and if I missed any, I do apologise. A lot of them were very similar, so I tried to just put them into the same question. But I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making it, and I just want to say it is my first time ever sort of interviewing, sort of doing a podcast style video. So if there's things that could be improved, let me know in the comments down below. But I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed sitting down and chatting with Tom. But without further ado, here it is. What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the CU4U channel. You joined me with a very special guest, and I'm delighted to say that I'm joined with Tom Piatak, one of our co-owners here at Carlisle United. Tom, welcome to the channel. Thank you for coming on.
Definitely. Thank you for having me.
And just before we get into the questions, well, I think having this openness with the fans is something that the fans really appreciate. You've obviously been on a few platforms and been in the fan zone and stuff. And I think that's what fans are really appreciating about this new ownership.
Yeah, it's something we've said from the start. It's part of the way we operate our businesses is to be as transparent as possible. And in something like football, everyone wants to be rallying to the same cause, and that's what we want. And so we want to make sure everyone knows as much as we can.
Yeah, fantastic. Right, just start with some quick fire questions about yourself. Just sort of, quick fire. What is your favorite song?
Favorite song? Might say "Living on a Prayer."
Nice, good one. Favorite food?
Favorite food? I would definitely say it's Italian. Some sort of pasta with any meat, really, to be honest, is top of my list.
I've got a favorite movie.
Favorite movie? I'll say growing up, Without a Paddle was always one of my favorites. There's not much of a deep story to it, but just good time with friends, and always loved Without a Paddle.
Yes, it's the memories, isn't it, that you put with a movie or a TV series. What would your dream holiday be?
Ooh, dream holiday. Um, yeah, I've always wanted to go out to I think it's the Indonesian islands and surf there. There's so many islands that have different breaks. And in Jacksonville, we do get waves, but nothing crazy. And that's something I've always been interested in, going out there and finding a break with nobody else at it and just being able to have the waves to yourself. So that's something I'd be interested in.
Yeah, and last one on the quick fire. What's your dream car?
Dream car. Oof. I'm honestly not much of a car guy. I know one of those guys who knows way too much about sports and not enough about my own car. But I was always interested in like the Audi R8, I think. So
Yeah,
I'll go with that.
nice. Well, moving into the Carlisle ones, then we'll start with one that I think possibly a lot of people know the answer to already, but just in case someone hasn't, Oscar has asked, why Carlisle United?
I mean, host of reasons, but the ones off the top are just the deep rooted fans and the love of the club that Carlisle has. It's not something you can manufacture or try to build. You have to have that support, and Carlisle was a club that we saw that had it. Along with geography, being the biggest brand in the area was absolutely huge and something we were looking for. Um, so I would say those two things at the top were what really led us to Carlisle. And then, diving into the details and into the city, we really fell in love with the area and saw a hidden gem here. So couldn't be happier with ending up with Carlisle United.
Yeah, we're definitely not near anyone in terms of football wise, sort of just completely on our own up here in the north.
Yeah, yeah. That the catchment area for fans and for young up and coming prospects. Huge drive, and definitely a massive plus in our eyes.
Yeah. Some questions on the stadium then. Quite a lot. There was quite a few questions on the stadium, but some of them sort of go hand in hand. So Mark Johnston and Alan have said, what are sort of the plans for the stadium as a whole, with their bugbear being that the AJ stand doesn't sort of line up with the pitch? Is anything to do with that going to be in the plans?
That's something we'd have to look at further down the line. I will preface this as saying I'm not as in depth into the stadium plans as some other members of the family. I kind of get just the high level overviews, but that would probably be involved if there was any movement with the Warwick and the Waterworks, which we don't have any current plans or short-term plans to do anything in terms of moving those. We do, know the history and the plan to move the pitch a few yards down, and we'd love to be able to get those extra couple rows in the Andrew Jenkins stand open and in line with the pitch. But right now, as we've kind of seen, and you mentioned earlier on the plans that were released in within the Andrew Jenkins stand is where the first focus will be, along within the West Stand for some of the players.
Yeah, and keep the focus on the East Stand. So, Carl has asked, is there any plans to extend for the away fans in the East Stand and potentially moving some Carlisle fans into the Waterworks if needed?
I mean, I will say, yesterday, despite the result, I love seeing all four sides open.
Yeah,
If it's something we'd be able to do, I would see absolutely no reason why not. It really comes down to demand. A few times we've had the waterworks open, where it didn't look full, and it isn't quite the best look. But I will say yesterday looked great, even though it was all away fans. And if we could get the waterworks open and packed with Carlisle fans, that would be an absolutely fantastic thing we'd love to do.
yeah, absolutely. I'm in the East Stand and I was walking around to the car and I got past like the away end of the Bolton fans. And then as I was walking up towards where the training pitch is to get to the car, there was just like another 1,000 Bolton fans. And I was thinking, where have these come from? But completely forgetting that the Waterworks was jam packed yesterday. And I agree, I like it when all four sides are open as well.
Yeah,
It
the,
does look
the
good.
atmosphere looked fantastic yesterday.
Yeah. So Chris has added as well with the plans for the East side. Is there any plans where um, will the new boxes affect sort of the rear of the stadium? So will fans maybe have to move forward?
Looking at a few options there, I do see, where that concern is if there were some that stuck out, versus maybe just a door that opens and you walk in. That's something they're actively discussing. They put up I don't know if it actually showed the boxes on what they released, but those are something that are open to be tweaked. So, we don't want to displace people that have been there forever. But the boxes and the exact layout of how they would go, are definitely something that's still open to the discussion on how we plan to do that.
Yeah, and Chris adds as well. Are the media team staying where they are, or are they being moved?
Personally, I'm not sure on that.
Sure, spot on. So I know you said most of it is on the east and the west stand. A few people have asked about the waterworks as well. Is any chance the waterworks or the Warwick would be moved to be in a seated section of the stadium instead of standing?
Uh, Potentially, especially if we were to, get promoted into the championship, it does become a requirement.
Yeah,
Um, as of right now, with the focus on the East End, there's not any immediate uh things there. On the back of the Warwick, there are some plans for an extended area, and that hopefully we'll be able to do, which goes, much beyond just the bathrooms that are often talked about. There'll be a lot more going on back there, but there hasn't been anything that I've heard of, regarding making those fully seated.
Yeah, that's maybe something more in the long term, as you say, if we were to
Yeah.
get championship. Uh, on the Warwick, then, Lewis and Tom have both sort of asked similar questions about the improvement of the acoustics in the Warwick. A lot of people say that the roof affects, the atmosphere coming out. So, is there any plans to change the roof in the Warwick?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about the roof exactly. I've heard about sounding boards, looking at a bunch of different options. I've been in the Warwick Road and when no one knew who we were yet. And it is bouncing in there. And I, do understand that, sometimes it doesn't carry all the way out because the roof kind of hangs over. And that's something you want. You want to have that energy and the song chanting and everything else that comes out of there. You want that projected as much as you can. So, it's something we're looking at. I don't know if we have the answer yet. If someone had an idea on how to put in a new roof and was willing to come forward with that, we'd be happy to listen. Because the most recent thing I heard was like acoustic boards, but I'm not even sure, if that would work. I'm not an expert on that matter by any means, but we would love to get the sound and the energy that's coming out of the Warwick out as much as possible.
Yeah, and then David's asking about have you inquired anything to do with the rugby club just behind the west stand? Have you inquired about maybe being able to expand onto that area with sort of bigger fan zone and potentially car parking as well?
We've talked to the rugby club. We have a good relationship with them just off of the start, and both clubs agree when anything positive is positive for both being right next to each other. We've also even looked at it as a potential short-term pitch, if ever needed with a flood like we had the other day. Not sure if it will be needed or what that plan might look into, but we've had discussions with them, and we just want to be good neighbors and do what's best for both clubs.
Yeah, and then a tinier subject on the whole stadium. Richard said that the D stand toilets in the west stand they need some proper running water. So are the small improvements still going on behind the scenes as well?
Oh yeah. Um, you know, Only so much we can do during season, but even still, there are smaller things, and something like that sounds critical. So make sure to I'll get that one passed along. Um, but even day-to-day stuff with the players, they might have to stay out of a room for a day because things are changing, and trying to make little adjustments that we can without disrupting the flow of the club and the day-to-day workings. But yeah, that does continue to happen every day, basically.
Yeah, and to end the stadium one, I mean we've touched on it slightly, but Joel's asked, is there any long term plans for the waterworks?
Uh, Long term, the most would be to say we've, kind of as you mentioned earlier, thought about it being a cedar at some point, but it's not anything that I would say there's any sort of set plan on. We love the way it is right now and the way the history behind it and the way people rally inside of it. So anything we were to do there would be going through an extensive process of what are the fans interested in, what's best for the club, and what's best for the city and the area, because that is such a unique place where people go. We would have much more in-depth, you know, deep conversations with everyone before making any adjustments to the Warwick. So I wouldn't say there's anything that's set for the long term as of now, beyond what's the potential additions behind it and things like that they're looking at doing.
Yeah, there's actually one more about the stadium. I completely missed that. Someone's asked, is any chance of safe standing becoming a thing?
I've seen it growing. Right now we do have a lot of standing in the stadium. The majority of the capacity is standing. So finding the right way and the right balance to do that, you know, our fans love it. So it's something that we're not dying to get rid of. Um, but how that works, we have to figure that out with the leagues and the club to see what's best going forward. But we do have a lot of standing, and it is part of the history of Brunton Park. So we'd like to keep some of that if we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Jamie's asked about tickets. Is there any potential promotions on tickets? So last season we had a £10 to get into the ground, and I think 2015 we had 8K for MK, which I think turned into 10K for MK. So would the family look into any ticket deals to maybe try and encourage extra people to get into the ground?
Yeah, I think that the trainer game was one of the first ones the entire family sat down and watched, and was a great day for Carlisle and Brunton Park. But yeah, and it is something we've talked about recently about finding and identifying a game for that. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was one in the works.
Yeah, it really splits the fan base. Ticket promotions, I've noticed. But if you get more people in, then that's great, isn't it? And then Arthur's asked as well, is anything to do with like going forward into sort of next season? Will tickets stay the same? Will there be any increases or decreases in price, or is that not something is that maybe too far in the future?
Yeah, that's too far in the future right now for anything that I would know.
Yeah, yeah. So looking at the staff, then these ones are a bit more wordy. But Paul has asked, will Simo have sort of a role if he decides to move on from Carlisle or when his contract ends? Will he still, could he still be behind the scenes in any way? That was something that obviously Simo wanted to do as well.
Yeah, again, if that's something Paul wanted to do, we really appreciate and respect his knowledge and his experience. So, he's definitely someone you want around have around your building in any capacity. So I don't see any world where the club is pushing Paul out of the fold in complete capacity.
Yeah, and Ian has said, what are your thoughts on the current coaching structure? He would love Paul to have maybe a bit of a change in the backroom staff, a fresh face, experienced number two. But that he's also said he doesn't mean that he wants to give Gav Skelton the push, but any type of coaching restructure.
Not anything that we would be looking at right now, or even qualified, to discuss on. That's something we'd have to leave to Nigel and other people if we were to look at anything. But we're not in any position or looking at any changes at this moment.
Yeah, and then last one, sort of looking at the staff, and it's sort of more about on the pitch for this season. John said it would be obviously disappointing to get relegated, but would this be, if we were to get relegated, would it be a starting point for a rebuild and a regrowth and sort of making a team that we can all be, I'm not saying we're not proud of the team, but he said to make the team proud going forward. So is sort of relegation the end of the world if we were to go down this season?
It's not the end of the world. It's part of the game, and we all know, the club came into this season with odds expected to go down. We still have hope. We still have 17 games to go out there and do everything we can. Um, but when we started looking at Carlisle United was a League Two club. So the promotion last year was an amazing experience. We're extremely blessed and thankful to be having the opportunity here. But it's not the end of the world to us, and we hope not not the end of the world to the supporters in terms of their desire to come back out the next season and back the lads. And we're going to be doing everything we can to make sure the team's in the right position going forward.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, someone on Twitter called the dog handler said, "How important is staying up?" And well, we've just discussed if we were to go down, but is there a long term plan if we were to go down, or even if we were to stay up?
Yeah, I mean, we have a plan in place in terms of, where the budget will be and, what we're going to do around the stadium, and that's irregardless of what league we're in or any other outside factors. We're going to do what we think is best for Carlisle United and to put them in the best position they can be to succeed.
Yeah, and then on to a little bit more general sort of Carlisle questions. Thomas Coleman has said, "Can the Huey Mack statue be brought back up to standards?" He's saying there used to be some blue lights, but at the minute it's starting to rust away. And he says it's a shame to see it falling into a state of disrepair.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Brunton Park that definitely needs some rehab. If the statue's one of them, we'll definitely have it on the list and not have. I don't know what is needed to clean that. I'm not sure even sure what type of metal it is. But it's definitely something, the whole club needs just a little bit of a wash and a little bit of love and brought into the 21st century. And hopefully, people have seen little things so far and it should just continue.
Yeah, obviously the main thing is the fan zone's been excellent. The screen and all the graphics around. And Chris has said, "Is there any plans to make the fan zone a bit more of a permanent structure?" Obviously, we seen last week the winds hit it quite hard.
Yeah, it's tough to say. Right now, we are trying to expand as much as we can. The more people we can get there, the better. And it's been a great time. We're out there every time we're in the city or and at the games. So we absolutely love it, and we want to make it the best experience it can be. If that leads to it becoming a permanent structure or that making sense, it's something we definitely consider. But yeah, expanding that and having people there is the goal.
Yeah, and on the thing of expansion, Josh on Facebook asked, "Is there any plans for some car parking?" Because he says it can be a real struggle on match day, especially with the higher numbers that we're getting this season.
Not sure on car parking, to be honest. Even some of the fan zone is moving down towards the car, has moved some cars out of that area. And unfortunately, with the stadium being where it is, there's not a ton of parking right around it. We have same issue down here in Jacksonville. There's plenty of times where, unfortunately, I'm parking in someone's yard a mile away and walking. So if there's something that made sense and was there, we would not be interested. Um, but the goal, we would rather have a bigger fan zone and more people walking around. And I totally understand the difficulties of car parking and where you have to go and how far the walk is. But um, that's just something that is kind of a difficulty with the location.
Yeah. Uh, Peter has asked, "Have you tried Cheese XL crisps?"
Oh, we have, yes.
Yeah. Do you like Cheese XL crisps?
I do, but I'm a fan of most Christmas. I'm not that difficult to please when it comes to that department.
Yeah. Which is quite funny to follow that up. Kevin has asked, "What is your favorite type of crisp?"
Oof. Uh, some sort of, I would go sea salt and vinegar.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't go wrong with salt and vinegar. Peter
Yeah.
adds as well to that, if they're going to make any changes to the catering options with the new upgraded plans, is Cheese XL something that you can keep on the menu?
If it's on the menu now, I'll definitely say we'll do our best to keep it. That's not something that I personally have too much knowledge on.
Yeah. Carl has asked, if the plans are accepted, will there be more security in Stewart's? And he said, especially in the Warwick, because that's where some trouble is likely to happen.
Yeah, the stewards and security are based on the crowd side for the most part. I think we are having additional due to some of the recent incidents. Um, the more that they can do and be trained to address issues as they see them is better for the club and the entire experience of the match. So it, definitely something we want to make sure we have the proper amount and that things are being handled as they arise.
Yeah. James said that this. I mean, you possibly may not even know because this. I think we're going a while back now, maybe 9, 10 years ago. But in the AJ stand, there used to be like a betting shop. I think it was turned into a tuck shop last season actually. But they used to have like a little betting shop where you could put on, golden goal and who would score the first goal and stuff. Would there be any plans to bring something like that back?
None that I'm aware of. We saw the one bookie stand, and they said, most people today just use their phones. So I actually asked about it because here in Florida, sports betting isn't even legal at all until 2024. So it was kind of something that completely took us off guard. Um, but yeah, they said unfortunately it wasn't being used enough. Everybody's using their cells today, and for that reason, I don't see it coming back, unfortunately.
Yeah, at half time, everyone gets the Sky Bet or Bet 365 out to check the yakkers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Ron John, who's a bit of a Carlisle legend on Twitter, he says he loves to see the new plans. And do you follow Ron John on Twitter?
I definitely follow Ron John on Twitter. He was one of the first that I definitely would see on a regular basis when I first started following the club, and he definitely makes me smile when I read a lot of his tweets. You know, Others can go off the rail on any social media. But I do follow Ron John, and I do see quite a few of his tweets.
Yeah, there's a Twitter's it can be a wonderful but an awful place after a match there for sure. But Ron John is a Carlisle legend now, I would say.
Yeah,
Matty Gordon has said is this is I think it's very personal to Matty. The sign above the West Side ticket office, I think it's got the fox with some stars around. He said, "Is there any sort of upgrades to sort of the graphics that would be possible?" I don't think he likes the sign because it was brought in by Knighton, and he's not a fan of that era of Carlisle.
yeah, I did see it. I did see that one. Personally, I've always kind of liked this design, but there are stuff with the local arts school and others where there might be upgrades to graphics. I'm not sure if that area in particular is being looked at right now on the short term, but there are stuff continuously being updated and both inside and out to just make it a little bit livelier and things like that with branding and stuff, different paint, new paint, you know, just to make it a little livelier.
Yeah, and you touched on community there. How important is the outside community to yourself as a family, but also Carlisle United? I think your dad went to the hospitals over Christmas with some of the players.
Yeah, yeah. I mean the Carlisle's community club and the community needs to see that. And we definitely want to make it a point, and we try to stress that with our fans forum and when we presented the supporters club, you know, we want to do everything that we can to do what's best for the community. And, players making appearances, hospitals, schools, I remember when the Jaguars came to my school as a child, and it was one of the coolest days in terms of, just being there and experiencing it that I can remember. So all of that makes such a big difference, and it's not a huge commitment for anyone to do to make one appearance or make two appearances here and there. So, we love being out in the community. We love talking to supporters and hearing their stories. So it's definitely something we plan to continue to do.
Yeah, obviously the players come in like primary schools and stuff as well. I work in primary schools in Carlisle, and the discussion was about last a couple of years ago that Simpson and the players came in, and I was saying, "Oh, we should definitely do that again." And they were like, "Oh yeah, the kids love it." And I was thinking, I'd love it as much as the kids would love it. It'd be great. But
Yeah, no, it's just a great experience, and it's a change up, and you get that little change, new stories, memories, things like that. They all build together.
Absolutely, and it is something the kids would, they'd go into sort of the school and be like, "Oh wow, it's John Mellish," or "Oh my God, it's Owen Moxon." They're the days you remember is in school more than anything as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. And those are the kind of memories and experiences we want everyone to have. Every child in Carlisle that wants to have it deserves to have it. And hopefully we can make those opportunities happen as much as possible.
Yeah, and just as we're running out of time, just a last one to finish on. Um, where would you see Carlisle United in 5 years? Bit of a tricky one there for you.
It's definitely, seeing how this season goes, I would say in 5 years, we want to be at the top half of League One, playoff, pushing for that, and hopefully, you know, catching the right couple bounces and maybe making a push up in the championship. But top half of League One is where I think is a realistic, hopefully, goal for us. But we know in this game anything's possible. But that's the goal we've set for ourselves as what we expect.
Yeah, that's a nice realistic offer because some people might want to say, "Oh, we'll be in the Premier League, we'll be going for the Champions League and stuff," and it's just not realistic.
Yeah.
So
I mean, anything's possible. We'll always hope. And we're going to do everything we can to put Carlisle in the best position to try to win. And at that point, all we can do is cross our fingers and be ready for Saturdays.
absolutely. I mean, if somehow we were in the Premier League in 5 years, I think you'd all have a statue for sure.
Yeah, that would be an amazing achievement. Not anything I want to put my name on, but yeah, we're going to do everything we can to make sure clubs align for the best possible chance of success.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, as I just want to say thank you so much for taking your time to come on the channel, and I'm sure everyone who's asked the question will be thankful that I think I've got round a lot of people's questions. There was a few, but yeah, I want to say thank you, but I'm sure the fans is just as thankful for you taking your time to come and speak to both myself and answer their questions as well.
Certainly. Well, thank you for having me on.
Anytime, you're welcome back anytime.
I appreciate it. You have a good rest of your day.